Good morning and welcome to Indie Interactive, where we talk about making great music, connecting with your audience, and growing your business. My name is Bree Noble, and today we are going to talk about how to use Facebook groups to build your music career. And I'm really excited about this talk today because I have a Facebook group, a group that I love dearly called the Female Indie Musician Community. We have over 1,650 people in that group. It's totally free. So if you guys don't belong to the group yet, while people are showing up here this morning, I really encourage you to go over to woscommunity.com and it will take you right to the group and you can join us in the group. We've got a really engaged community over there. And if I can go ahead and put this down, if you are here right now, type in the chat box. I'd love to say hi to you. It looks like some people are showing up. Great to see you, Matungi, and let's see who else is showing up. Beth and Avelia. Oh, so great to see you guys. Annie, awesome. Thank you so much for putting us on your schedule and showing up on Wednesdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So I'm not going to take too long introing here because I want to jump into this material. I'm really excited about it. Now I want to clear up one thing about talking about Facebook groups, and that is there are two ways to use Facebook groups. One is what I'm going to talk about today, where you're in other people's groups and you are using that to build your career. The other one is to actually have your own group, where you build a community around you and your music, and that's where you interact with your fans. And I know some of you have done that. I know Linda in the Female Musician Academy, she has done that, and that's been really great for her to have an easy way to update people about what they're, what she's doing in her music. I know Julia is also doing that. A friend of mine, Steve Powell-Freeman from the Music Launch Hub, he loves doing this and he helps artists do this. And once he has done a lot of testing in this area, I'm going to bring him on the show so he can talk about it as well. So we will get to that later in the year about how to build your fan base using a Facebook group. But right now I want to talk about using Facebook groups that already exist that are for musicians to build your music career. Now, I'm going to talk about how to find the groups, how to use them, and then, of course, how not to use them, which is actually just as important as how to use them. So keep in mind that this information works really well for local groups as well. So, if you have local meetup groups, if you have, get together with a group of musicians in your area, or there's like songwriting groups and stuff you can be in, I highly recommend those. I mean, if you can be in person with people, that's always the best way to go. But if you're like me and you live in the boondocks, I live up in the mountains where there's like 11,000 people in my town. I know like a handful of musicians, and they're not really people that are building a music career. So I wouldn't really hang around with them. They're just kind of do it on the side. And the nearest, metropolitan area is an hour away, and, I don't really tend to get over there very often. So that's why online is so amazing for people that live in rural areas, in, remote areas. But I highly recommend you do both if you can. There's also the fact that Facebook groups can actually, tie to a local area as well. So it could actually work on and offline for some of the groups that you might join. So first of all, how do we find groups that will be good for us? Well, I mean, this may sound very simple, but you just type into the search box in Facebook. But the way their search works now, and it's a little different than it used to, if you type in there some keywords, let's just say you were looking for songwriters in Detroit or musicians in Detroit. I happened to look up a few things earlier today, and I saw that there is a group of musicians in Detroit. So you can type, your local city or local state. You can type in the kind of people, maybe your genre. If you want to, we have a female musician group, right? So if you wanted to hang out with all females, you can look for that. There's actually several of them in there. But type in some keywords like that. and then it will bring up a list of things. And if you look across the top, there are tabs, and you can choose groups. It'll also bring up people and pages and, you know, all kinds of different posts and things like that that have to do with that keyword. But if you click on groups, you can find groups that relate to what you're looking for. So I suggest you look for some keywords around your local area, your genre, your maybe, you know, the kind of message that you have with your music, the, you know, kinds of people that you want to hang out with. If you want it to be about songwriting or about music licensing or about performing, or, you know, if your style is, you know, hard rock or jazz or whatever, you know, just go and type in some things and see what you come up with, and then go to those groups and look around. So I definitely recommend that you look for groups that have engagement, and the way that you can tell is that they're like, number one, if you look up our group right now, you'll see that it says 17 new members. So I think it counts new members over the last like couple of days. So that's clearly an engaged group if we're having 17 new members in our group. I looked at all the other groups for female musicians, and there aren't any that say that. There's some that say, you know, like one post, you know, being engaged upon, or it tells you how many members they are. You can also look and see what friends you have in those groups, and that's another way to tell if you want to join that group, because the quality of the people that are in there, people that you know, other musicians that you know, really respect, are they in that group? And so those are some ideas on how to find groups. So I'd love to hear from you guys. I know most of you in this chat right now are in the female indie musician community, which is our free group, and some of you are also in our, you know, membership paid group, the Female Musician Academy. But I'd love to know, like, how many groups are you guys in? Do you even know how many groups you're in? Do you even know what they are? And if so, how many of them do you actually engage in? So I'd love to know, how many groups do you actually engage in on a regular basis? Because I want to get an idea of how savvy you guys are with groups. So let me check in the chat real quick and see. It's great to see all of you guys. Hey, Bridget, how's it going? Hey, let's see, Marianne, awesome to see you. Let's see, who else is in here? Alina, Beth, Michelle, Mishi, awesome. Lynn's great to see you. So how many groups do you guys engage in right now? Just put a number, like if you're just kind of guessing, you know, maybe like you have 2 main groups that you engage with, or maybe you actually are trying to engage with, you know, a lot of different groups, and in some ways that can make you feel very overwhelmed. So I want to see where you guys are at with this. Let's see. Okay, just 3. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty common, Annie. Like, a lot of people join a lot of groups, and then you kind of look around and go, yeah, this one's not for me, this one's not for me. But we tend to not like unjoin them because we just maybe turn off notifications. Let's see. Trying to engage with too many. Yeah, I think that you kind of have to, you know, you need to pick your areas of focus. It's really easy to try and engage with too many, and then some days you just like don't even want to go on Facebook because you feel all this pressure to engage in all these different groups. What I would definitely try to do is be a big fish in a few medium-sized ponds, instead of trying to be maybe, you know, a fish in like 20 different ponds. Let's see. This is the group. Awesome. Okay, that's great. This is the group you're most engaged in. 2, that's a really good number. Let's see. I am part of 3. Okay, you guys are doing well. I recommend that you don't try to be in way too many groups. Now, if I were to recommend a few groups, I mean, obviously our group, Steve's group, which is the Music Launch Hub, that is a fantastic group as well, and I know some of you guys are in that group. And then I would look for local groups, or maybe groups around what the thing you really want to focus on, whether it's music licensing, whether it's songwriting. Those are the kind of groups that you're going to want to be in. So let's talk about, as I said, like, look for groups that a lot of your friends are in, because that will tell you the tenor of the group. Like, is that a kind of group that I want to be in? What you also want to look for in a group is it moderated? So many of you guys know our group. I've been kind of looking after it. I've had another assistant, Ruth, looking after it. But now we have a full-time community manager. Like, that is part of her job. And that is Beth Matthews. And she is doing a great job making sure that what's in the group is relevant, making sure that people are finding the information that they need. A lot of times, you know, things get posted in there and they get lost in the feed. So she tries to help you guys, you know, do a little recap, make sure you know all the cool things that are going on or any cool resources that are shared. And you know that it's being looked after and there's not going to be a ton of spam in there. So I think that is really important, that you be in a group that's moderated. I know that many of you are probably in, like, you know, some Reverb Nation groups where it's like share your music, and all it is just a feed of people sharing all their new singles. Like, how is that relevant or useful to you? It really isn't, right? So just know that, like, if you're feeling that way about groups you're in, just cut your losses. Find groups that work for you. And, you know, if it's not my group, that's totally fine. Like, if you'd rather focus on local groups, then that's great too. But find groups that really resonate with you, that work for you, and you don't feel like you're wasting your time looking through what's happened in the feed. And I know that for me, the groups that I'm in, sometimes I get overwhelmed by the notification messages that I get. And so sometimes I just say, like, every day I'm just going to scroll through that group just to make sure I didn't miss something important, because there are certain people in there I want to connect with and certain things that I want to see. And so if you're only committed to 2 or 3 groups, then it's not a big deal once a day to go and make sure you didn't miss anything important in that group, or there's not something that you want to contribute to. So let's talk about, when you're in a group, what not to do in a group. So I'd love to see what your guys' ideas are of what not to do. Have you seen things happen in our group that you've thought, oh, I don't like that, or why did somebody do that, or that's, I mean, we're not going to call out names or anything, but are there things that you've seen happen in groups that really frustrate you, that make you not even want to be in a group because people are doing that? Let's see what you guys say. Let's see. I want to say hi to Luana. Say hi to some new people that joined. Let me know, is there anything that happens in a group that you do not like? I'd be curious to see what you guys say. And while you're typing that, I'm gonna go over a few things that I definitely do not like. And I think the number one, and you guys will all agree with me, is spamming, obviously, right? First of all, things that have nothing to do with the group. The group is about musicians, but people are posting, you know, their sale on Arbonne products or Mary Kay products, or, you know, all great products, right? But it has nothing to do with the group. So that's one thing. Like, do not post in a group like that with something that has nothing to do with the subject matter of the group. Secondly, do not use the group to promote your music. Now, I know some people might think, well, that's counterintuitive. Like, isn't the whole point that I'm supposed to get people to know what I'm doing and, you know, get people engaged with my music? But let me just put this out there, okay? This is a group for musicians helping other musicians. It's all musicians, right? So you're not necessarily going to be getting a bunch of new fans from this group. You will get fans because people engage with you as a person and you're helping each other, and then you want to get to know their music because they're becoming a friend, and then they'll like your music, and then they'll become a fan. But if you're just posting, here's my new video, here's my new single, that is not going to get you any fans. This is a group where, you know, it's almost like business to business versus business to customer. Like, we are all businesses, we all have music that we're promoting. And so, we don't want necessarily to see all the music that other people are doing, unless, of course, it's asked for. So that's why in my group, I have posts that say, on Tuesdays, every other week, we post our videos in case people want to watch other people's videos to get ideas. And, we have a Wins Wednesday, and you're able to talk about I just released my new single, isn't this cool? And we can cheer each other on. But it's not about promotion. So that is a really important thing, because I still constantly, and I know Beth can vouch for this because she deletes them all, I constantly see people in our group that are just putting up their new single, their new video. And here's the key, okay? There are some people that do this and it goes over well because, number one, they've already contributed to the group. People know them. People know that they have been helpful, that they've contributed to other people's posts, answered other people's questions. And so then when they put up their new music and they'd say, I love to get some feedback on this, then people would respond because those people know them as a person. You're not going to get any response to somebody who just post their here's my new single, it's on sale on iTunes. Why do we care? We don't care. I hate to be harsh here, but people care about you as a person, you as a story, you as an authentic individual. They're not going to care about your music if you just post it out there with no explanation and no reason for them to click. So that's my rant for today on that one, because it drives me nuts. And no matter how many posts we delete and no matter how many times we point people to the rules, it still happens. And that's why you need a moderator. So that's why I'm saying always check groups that you're going to be in. Make sure they have some kind of moderator, because otherwise you're just going to get streams of people posting their new singles, posting their new videos, trying to get you to vote for them in a contest. And they don't understand the purpose of groups. So that's why I'm saying be very judicious on the groups that you join. Okay, so what else do we not do in a group? And I kind of alluded to this before. You do not want to be all taking and no giving. You don't want to be asking 20 questions and then never answering other people's questions or giving your input or your experience. Maybe you don't have the answers, but you've got experience that you can share. You can connect them with somebody that might be able to answer their question. Don't just ask for help, ask for follows, all that on our Follow Friday post, and then not return the favor. That is just going to make you become radio silence to everybody in the group, because they're going to know after a while that you're a taker and not a giver. So don't do that. And I know most of the people in this feed right here are givers, because I see you guys posting in the group. I see you guys answering questions. And I know that if you're in the Female Musician Academy, you're givers, because you are there for a reason. You have paid to be there, and you want to engage in the community. So if you're in a free group, the only way that you're going to work that for yourself as far as actually making some progress in your career by being in the group is being a giver as well as a taker. So that's why we don't want to be in too many groups, right? So I already mentioned promotion. We do not want to be doing that in the group. Now, what do we want to do, right? You've been wondering all this time, you're going to get to what we're going to be doing in the group to help our career, right? Well, I'm not saying that a Facebook group, you're going to go in there, you're going to introduce yourself, you're going to put your music out there, and suddenly you're going to get a record deal. That is not how it works. It's networking, just like any other thing. And, I don't even think of it as networking. It is like making friends in similar situations to you where you can mutually benefit each other. And how can you do that? First of all, you can provide support to each other. I know in the academy, support is such a huge thing, because people get discouraged. Every week, every day even, people are hitting a wall in their music career and they thinking maybe they want to give up. And we're all rallying around them saying, I've been there before, but I did this and this is what helped. And I know I understand where you're coming from, but I know you can do this, and giving them that motivation and bolstering them up. That is what groups are fantastic for, because we are all islands in some ways. We're doing this music career alone as an independent artist, but you don't have to. And so that is one thing that groups can do, is it can keep you going with that support system. And that is what got me to not quit. Had I not had this group of women that I was in, I would have given up. I was so at the end of my rope. So keep that in mind and don't take that lightly. It's important. So secondly, what can you do? Well, if you've been in our group, you've seen that I have a gig swap post. And I think gig swapping is fantastic. I've had people that I know in groups, offer each other places to stay, offer each other gig swaps when they're in each other's cities, doing tours together. Find like-minded people in a group. And our group has almost 650 people, right? 1,650 women right now. So the chances are very high that you're going to find a kindred spirit in that group. Somebody that loves doing exactly a similar thing to what you do, but they're in maybe a little different market. Maybe they're in a state next to yours. Maybe they're a few states away, and you can go travel there and they can travel to your state, and you can help each other out. There is so much power in collaboration. If you see what I do in my business, I'm not a musician right now, but the way I collaborate is I get together with other fantastic experts like D. Grant Smith, like Steve Powell Freeman, like Michelle Lockie, and we help each other. And that is so invaluable. And that's the major power of Facebook groups. Don't take that lightly. People can open so many doors for you that you cannot open on your own, and vice versa. You have doors you can open for them that maybe you hadn't even thought of. So keep in mind that that is a great way to use Facebook groups. Also, collaboration, right? I have seen some people, and I have in the past been in groups, collaborated with other artists. Maybe they're a writer and I'm a singer. Maybe we want to write together and I'm better at lyrics and they're better at melodies. And I've collaborated with some people that way and had some doors opened to me with their contacts and vice versa, because I met them in a group and we collaborated. So every time that you get together with another artist in some way, you're expanding your circle of influence, your circle of reach. When I bring D. Grant Smith here to you guys, many of you didn't know him before. Now you do. When he brings me to his audience, or Steve brings me to his audience, then they know me and they didn't know me as well before. And that is the power of collaboration. So again, don't take that lightly. It's not about like this magic pill, finding this magic person that's going to open all the doors for you as far as an industry representative. It is people to people, helping each other, lifting each other up, introducing each other to other people that can help them. And there's so much power in that. There's so much power in that. Now, the other thing is there are industry professionals that do hang out in these groups. I can tell you, because we approve the people for our group. We see the kind of people that want to join our group. And as our group gets bigger and it gets more well known, there are people from the industry that are like, maybe I should go check out what's going on in there. Maybe I could find a good artist to develop in here. Maybe there's somebody in here that, I might want to book on my next tour. So there are industry professionals watching inside groups. That's another reason to be super professional and not spam, because they're not going to respect you for that. Someone might see your music that way, but they're not going to necessarily click. They're not going to, respect that kind of promotion. They're going to respect an artist that is really working it. And when they see that you're working it and you're helping people and you are asking questions and trying to learn as much as you can, and then you also have fantastic music, they are going to be hooked and they're going to want to know more about you. So, keep in mind that when you're in these groups, there are industry pros that are watching, that are kind of lurking sometimes, and they might not, make themselves known. And occasionally they'll put something in there, about an opportunity that they have. And I'm very, 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 wary of that. I always check on all these things. If anybody puts something in there, I check it out. If I think it's not legit or it's not something that I want you guys exposed to, I'll delete it. So, but there are good people that want to help you, that want to see what you're doing, and they do hang out in these groups. So keep that in mind as well. So I've given you a lot of different ways to use groups to help you build your career. So let me know in the chat, is any of those that I mentioned, are they things that you maybe hadn't thought of ways that you can use a group, or maybe something that you thought you were going to use a group for, but now you're like, nope, that's not going to be a good idea. So let's see what you guys are saying over here in the chat. Okay, I want to say hi to Rapunza. Cool. Who else? Oh, Sarah, great to see you guys. Verity Smith, great to see you. It's so great to have all this chat and engagement. Hey, Deborah, how's it going? Let's see, I think I said hi to a lot of you guys now. So is there anything, I'd love to hear from you guys, if there's anything I talked about that really resonated with you. Oh, that's cool. Sarah says Michelle Lockie is super helpful. She sure is. She's in her groups. That's great. Michelle is like one of the first people that I partnered with, and one of my favorite people to work with. So if you guys don't know her, you should. Let's see what you guys are saying. Awesome. Yeah, people spamming in groups, so annoying. Yeah, it really is, and I don't really understand why people don't get it. I think it's the scattershot thing, right? People think that if they just throw their music out there far and wide, then someone's going to see it. I just know, they've heard these stories about like, people were discovered in like the strangest ways. So they think that if they just, splatter their music all over the internet, someone is going to find it and they're going to become famous or something. Let's see. Oh, that's cool, Sarah. I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm one of her biggest promoters. So, let's see if you guys have any, let's see. Hey Beth, how's it going? So I was just, your ears are burning, Miss Beth Matthew. I was talking about you because you're our community manager for the group. So if you guys don't know Beth, you should know her. And if you're not in our group yet, again, I put the link up at the top of this post, but it's woscommunity.com. If you just go to that link, it will take you to the female indie musician community, or you can just look up female indie musician community on Facebook and you'll see it in there. And you can totally join us. It's a free group and we try very hard to keep it a spam-free zone. Cool. I love you guys saying hi to each other. So that is what I have for you today. Thank you guys for coming live. If you know any musicians that you think can really benefit from this information, maybe they're not, taking advantage of groups like they could, or maybe they're in way too many groups and they just need to find some groups that really fit them, I would really appreciate you sharing this live stream. Of course, when we're done, anyone can watch the replay of this, and I so appreciate you guys showing up live. It makes it so much more fun for me. I hate standing here feeling like I'm talking to myself. So it's great to see you guys, talking in the chat and all that. You are welcome, you guys. Let's see. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, there are some groups that are dedicated to promoting music, and it says that, But my question is, who's really reading? I think people come on Facebook and they come to groups to interact with people. And so if you just think about everything being people-centric and caring about people, that is what's going to get your career moving forward. Every large step that I've made in my career is because I connected with people. I learned from people. I helped people, and then they wanted to help me. And I helped them because I truly wanted to help them, not because I was expecting something in return. And if I start to work with people and I find that they are all takers and not givers, they're done. So I don't want any of you guys to be that, and I know you're not, because I know most of you and you're not those kind of people. So just keep all this in mind. Share this with any musicians that you think could benefit from this, and I look forward to seeing all of you on the next episode next Wednesday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific of Indie Interactive.